Have you ever faced something so painful, so overwhelming, that it felt impossible to see the way forward? For years, I carried a burden that I thought would break me. This time of my life was very challenging, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I faced trials that felt impossible to survive. Moments so dark, I didn't know if I'd ever find my way out. This is the story of that journey. So one day, many years ago, about 10 years ago, I'm in my office and I'm going to take a break from what I'm doing, so I decided I'm going to play some video games. And I turn the TV on, I sit back in my office chair, I lean over and I grab my video game controller and lean back in the chair. And as I leaned back in the chair, I felt like my strength was leaving me. My head, it started to tilt over and I passed out. And when I woke up, I jump up out of the chair because this pain in my chest, this excruciating pain, it had felt like somebody had took a spear and stabbed it through my chest. And I was terrified. In that moment, I thought I was going to die. So I stood there in the room thinking, okay, this is probably it, and I'm just waiting for myself to lose strength again, and this is the end. But it didn't happen, so I thought, I better get to the emergency room. So I go to the emergency room, and they run some quick tests on me to see if whether or not the way I'm feeling is true, that I'm gonna die. So they run the test on me and they tell me that I'm okay. They tell me I should go see my primary care. And I don't feel like this is right. The pain is so bad that they couldn't have got it right. They're missing something. So I go to another ER. And the same results. They did the test and I'm not dying. So I left and went to another emergency room. Same results. So I leave, I go home, and I resign myself to die. I figured that was it for me. It was done, so I eventually made it through the day, and so I tried to go to bed. I lay in bed, and I can't sleep. The pain is unbearable. And I didn't get any sleep for 2.5 weeks. Each night before I went to bed, I thought this was my last. But the sun would come up. I'd get out of bed with no sleep. And when I'd get up, I thought that each day that I got out of bed was my last. But I made an appointment with my primary care physician. He checks me out in the office and he tells me I should go see some specialists, and so I do. I went to go see a heart doctor, lung doctor, and a GI doctor. And they all run their tests on my heart, on my lungs, on my GI, and no one can find anything wrong with me. And this went on for some months, going to these doctors. I went back to my primary care. I was telling him I'm still feeling pain. The doctors can't find anything, and so I suspect that he's starting to think that I'm some kind of hypochondriac, that I'm there trying to get some attention or maybe some pain drugs, which wasn't the case. I just needed some answers so I can get some relief. And so I went home and I resigned myself to the possibility that I'm going to die. So I made a decision to impart as much truth as I can to my children, to love them as much as I can. So imagine this, during this time I have epilepsy, I have this excruciating pain in my chest, I can't sleep, and not too long after the pain began, I'm raising my kids on my own. And of course that leads to some pretty deep depression. But I had to keep trying. I had to. It was my purpose that whatever time I had left, that I was going to impart as much love and truth to my kids as I could. For God's sake, for love's sake. So every day I kept waking up. Not much sleep, but I kept waking up. I get a few hours of sleep a night, but I kept waking up every day for a few years, and I kept making it through each day. And I'm still thinking that any day could be my last. After a few years of still living, I'm still alive, I decided I'm going to go back to the doctors. But still the same results. They find nothing. And so I gave up again. I gave up trying to find the answers to the doctors. And each day I barely have enough strength to get through, because I'm hardly getting any sleep. But I have to keep trying because I love my children. So a few years go by, and my dad dies. And I move into his house. And when I'm living there, I find that I'm getting some relief by taking this massage tool and putting it on my chest and pressing it as hard as I can. And so I decide that, my daddy has this workbench, this workout bench. And I find that if I lay my chest on this workbench and I lay there and put all my weight on my chest, I get some relief. So after getting some relief there, I saw these weight plates that he has next to the workbench. And so I lay on the ground and I grab these plates and I put them on my chest. I put about 50 or 60 pounds on my chest. And I felt that after I took the weights off my chest that I would get some relief. Not much though. When the pain began, it was excruciating. And then putting these weight plates on my chest, I started to get a little bit more sleep. If just a little bit more. But I thought, I don't have any more plates to put on my chest, so I thought, maybe I can go out in the garage, I'll get this 2x6, I'll cut it down so that it could fit across my chest, and I'll have my sons stand on my chest. They weighed about 70, 80, 90 pounds at the time. And so that's what I did every night. I'd put the 2x6 on my chest and I'd hold it there, and my boys would stand on it and they would rock back and forth real slow. They do that for about 5 minutes every night. Some days were still really bad. Even though I got some relief, I was getting a little bit more sleep through the night, not really sleeping through the night, but it was a bit better. But still, some days were really bad. Some nights, couldn't sleep. I'd find myself on the floor just writhing in pain, praying to God, just begging Him to either take me home or heal me. And one day, I wake up and the pain is gone. And what a relief. What a relief that was. hope started to return that maybe I can have some days that are better. But a couple days later, the pain came back. But it still gave me hope that maybe if those couple days that I had of no pain, then maybe there'll be some more of those kind of days in the future. But the pain, it still ruled my days. Everything that I did was marked with pain. So I continued to do what I had been doing to get some relief each night. Every night my boys would stand on my chest and do that. So because I was getting some relief, I made a decision that I'm going to go back to the doctors. And this time, this is the third time they've sent me to all these specialists: heart doctor, lung doctor, and GI doctor. And finally they find something. The GI doctor found a hiatal hernia. So that might be what caused it, but I don't know. Why didn't they find it years ago? The first time. Why didn't they find it the second time? This is the third time years later. And they find it now. So it might be the cause, it might not. But these days, the pain is a lot better. I think maybe all those couple of years of me putting the weights on my chest, my boys standing on my chest every night, walking on my back every night, that maybe just through time and maybe that helped. So the pain no longer is not an 8, 9, 10 every day, hardly getting any sleep. Now it's somewhere around like a 1, 2 every day. It ain't too bad. I still have my kids walk on my back, stand on my chest. It's still there, the pain is still there. And I may go see my GI and have the hiatal hernia surgery to see if that alleviates the pain entirely, but compared to what it was. You know, I'm finally getting regular sleep, and oh, what a difference that makes. To be able to get to sleep, it's made a huge difference. You know, I'm not so deep in depression any longer. It has really helped. I looked at my watch. My watch, it tracks my sleep every night. And for the first time in years, I get this notification saying that I've gotten 13 days in the last 14 of regular sleep. So through all those years, I've learned some things. I've gotten closer to God, you know, because it was the only way that I can get through. Well, the only way that I could continue to love my children. So come back to the next video, and I'll tell you all that I've learned through that time.